Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone here today and our viewing audience on June 24th, 2021. Meeting of the City of Davenport Zoning Board of Adjustments. Your participation in city government is appreciated and welcome. If you have a mobile device, please turn it off as it may interfere with the room's electronics. My name is Angie Laybach, Vice Chair, and the ZBA members present today are Brittany Boyd Carlson, Bridget, and Dan Darlin on the Zoom. Staff present, Scott Coops, Attorney Mallory Hoyt, and Laura Berkeley. The Zoning Board of Adjustments is a 5-member judiciary board established by state law, appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council to serve 5-year terms without compensation. The board meets twice a month to hear requests involving hardship variances from a strict application of zoning laws and also grant special uses and rules on administrative appeals. Any corrections to the minutes from our last meeting? May I have a motion for approval? Can we?
Move to approve.
Good second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 The motion passes. Do we want to go with the first term or go with the other? The 3-member? Pardon? The first item, and you want to go with the first item or you want to go with the 3-member?
You can read the first
Read
item
item, okay.
and then
And then-
ask, and then read the thing about the 3 members so they have the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. So the first item of business is under, that one was last. Sorry. Is it Tom? Sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you. Request HV 21-03 of Jim and Amy Holt at 4710 West 60th Street for a hardship variance to construct an approximate 40 by 64 foot, 2,560 square feet detached garage in the rear yard. Section 17-09-030-K of the Davenport Municipal Code allows a detached garage of 1,681 square feet. Existing dwelling is 3,363 square feet. The proposed garage exceeds the allowed garage area by 879 square feet. Is the applicant here? Okay. So, applicant, there are only 3 members present of this 5-member board. Approval of any motion requires a unanimous vote of all 3 members present today. Our bylaws grant the chair the discretion to allow you to request a tabling of this hearing until a later date. Once the board hears your item, this opportunity to table will have passed. Applicant, please step up to the table to address the board. Would you like to proceed or would you like to have your meeting tabled?
Gosh, I really don't know.
The date would be July 8th for the next meeting.
Okay,
That helps
I guess
you.
if I may, is there a guarantee that all 5 are there, or is it, or just, how did?
I can tell you that today we had one gentleman out of town due to a health doctor appointment, and we had one person that went home ill from work today. So that's the situation today. I would expect next week would be better, but I can't guarantee that.
I know that I'm going to be out of town that day, so.
Okay.
So basically, it's,
The board can table it to a specific day. So if you know it's not, if you won't be here July 8th, We could do it the next time too. It doesn't have to be the very next meeting. It's just more convenient that way. So if the board would like to make it July 20-something, whatever that next date.
Second.
22nd, that's okay too.
Gosh, I feel like I'm in a corner. So basically it's one or nothing if I do this, or I table it till,
The 22nd.
until then,
Well, yes.
22nd? Okay. Gosh, I don't know, guys. I guess I could table it. Sure. Sure.
So make a motion to, no?
Yeah, so make a motion, ask for a motion to table until July 22nd.
Okay, can I have a motion to table the item until July 22nd?
Motion to table
If
till,
I'm not available that day, because I don't have my calendar in front of me,
Anybody can speak for you. So.
anybody? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure, just to clarify. Okay.
Second?
Second.
Motion approved.
Vote on that first.
Oh.
Yes.
Voice vote?
We'll do a roll call vote. Darland,
Yes.
Bridget Carlson, or Boyd Carlson, I'm sorry,
yes.
and Layback.
Yes.
So that carries. We'll see you the 22nd,
All right.
and I will try to remember to shoot you an email, but definitely put it on your calendar, please.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, the second item then? Same thing. Applicant, there are only 3 members present of this 5-member board. Approval of any motion requires a unanimous vote of all 3 members present today. Our bylaws grant the chair the discretion to allow you to request the tabling of this hearing until a later date. Once the board hears your item, this opportunity to table will have passed. Applicant, please step up to the table to address the board. Would you like to proceed, or would you like to have the meeting tabled?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Tom Pasternak, and we would like to proceed at this particular point of time as we have some urgency in trying to establish the tenancy between the landlord and the tenant, which has been the subject matter of this particular petition.
Okay, thank you. So,
Can you please read the item?
oh, sure, I'm sorry. Request SU 21-04 of Tom Pasternak on behalf of Belser Ventures LLC at 1320 West Kimberly Road for a special use heavy retail business with a 50 by 50 screened outdoor product storage area. Property is zoned C3 General Commercial. Table 17.08-1 of the Davenport Municipal Code allows for heavy retail in the C-3 district, subject to the granting of a special use in compliance with section 17.08.030.bb. Staff report?
This is Scott Copes, Planning and Zoning. So if you had, in the packet that I sent out, I have some background information that's a little more extensive in this case because this case just came off of a rezoning. So this lot used to be zoned C2, and the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council, who handles rezonings, they heard the case and approved the case just yesterday. So it's now zone C3, the property is, and C3 does allow for a heavy retail special use permit. I will say that the only item that's making this or requiring this special use permit is the fact that they have outdoor storage. It's a limited area, 50 by 50, and it'll be screened with an 8-foot solid wood fence. But that's actually what we're approving, although there is indoor component to this. But the whole point of the special use permit is to make sure that the uses that are outside the building aren't detrimental to adjacent properties. So I have some background here just because it was rezoned. So on the right here is the zoning map. I don't know if you can see the crosshatch area, but that's all was C2. Now it's going to be C3. The proposal is in conformance with our comprehensive plan. This is a zoning map of the area. And if you can see the darker red that's near the mall and some of these other properties in here, That is C3 property as well. So it's part of a corridor that has a number of C3 properties. And so C3 is meant to handle this type of use, more of a big box, something that requires a lot of parking, something that has outdoor storage. And so they have that new zoning in place now. And so again, the purpose of the request is primarily for that outdoor storage area. Inside there, they're going to be storing generators that have diesel in them, and they, by law, can't be stored inside. The other thing they would store out there would be conduit, and the applicant can speak to that further when they come and speak on the case. They're really operating in our view as a retail unit. They do custom deliveries, but they provide, a customer service component for retail sales. They're not warehousing or anything like that. It's a retail sales business that has items that all can't be contained inside their store. So this shows where it's located in this is the old K's. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. This is across from Gonzo's. So inside there at the end, the north end of it's not really a strip mall, but the former big box. And this red portion here is where they're having the outside storage. So this air photo kind of shows you that adjacent to them to the north is the post office. There's a doctor or a physician's office there, apartments across the street, restaurant and a pest control, another restaurant, the Popeyes. So it's a fairly commercial area. Now, of course, there is residential over here to the northwest, but there is going to be a repaired fence there. And there also is a fence there right now on the north, but they're going to replace that and repair it where it's needed. And part of the rezoning also requires that there's a gap in the fence along the west side that's going to be replaced, or not replaced, but filled in that gap, solid fencing for privacy. There were no concerns about the outdoor storage area at all, which is kind of interesting with the zoning case, but they were concerned about potential increase for truck traffic, and that was one of their concerns. But the outdoor service area was not something that they were concerned about at that time. I did speak on the phone with a couple of people. I don't know if they've submitted anything in writing. I didn't get anything via email, and I don't know if they're here to speak today or not, but we'll find out later. The findings are that the proposed location and design meet requirements for special use. This is a commercial node, which is capable of handling this type of business. It's been around since 1970s. And the future land use and zoning support the use. The proposed retail use would be limited in outdoor storage only to the 50 by 50 area by a condition that staff has requested be placed on this, should this be approved. So these are the 4 conditions. And I can read those for you. The proposed outdoor storage area closure shall be limited to the location depicted on the application in SU 2104 and to an area of 50 feet by 50 feet or more or less, and shall not, or less, I should say, and shall not be allowed to be expanded unless approved by a modification to this special use, and shall be screened with a 6-foot to 8-foot fence, solid privacy fence, with the finished or dress side facing out. The second condition, within 90 days of this approval, the site shall come into compliance with the required buffer yard requirements for landscaping and fencing. This is also a condition of the rezoning. Along the west property line and along the north property line where needed and where repair isn't required, but its fence is missing. So basically, the end result is that all portions of the west and north, north up to where the fence is existing on the north, will be solid privacy fence for the entirety of that portion. Condition 3 Should complaints arise, if there's complaints, staff or other persons submitting those complaints would result in a rehearing of this case where the case could be modified with different conditions, approved, or it could be revoked. And the fourth condition, should there be more than 50% of this use sold to a different owner, we reserve the right to have another public hearing, or there would be another public hearing on this for the new owner, because ownership operates differently from owner to owner cases for businesses, so that's our reasoning behind that. So that's staff recommended for approval, subject to those four conditions, and if there's any questions by the board, I'm available.
Are there any questions from the board?
Scott, this is Dan. Similar to 2 weeks ago, I want to ask about environmental impacts, storing generators or diesel fuel, et cetera. And just want to make sure that's all been taken into consideration.
The applicant can answer that further, but all those requirements still apply and are applicable to this case. They're outside of our zoning jurisdiction, although if you want to require things to be shown up front that they're meeting certain environmental standards, whatever they may be, you could request those.
Okay, but those are de facto required regardless.
That is correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Applicant, please step up to the podium and present your request.
Well, basically what we're trying to do is to seek the special use because of the outdoor usage of the generators. And quite frankly, it's a matter of law that the generators can't be stored inside. So this is part of our business, and so therefore, for us to proceed with the tenancy, we need that special use to allow it. So when we look at the special use requirements, really we only have two elements to meet in order to obtain that special use. One is that we comply to the land use and to the comprehensive plan, and I think Scott has gone through just exactly why that has been done. And the other one is the endangerment to the public in terms of how are we affecting the neighborhood. So I know that we're called by C3 being heavy retail use, but in reality, what I'm going to submit, and I'm going to let the tenant come up and explain just exactly what the nature of his business and how it is that we are actually going to be a less intense use than an actual retailer like Hayes is. So many of the issues that had come up in terms of truck trafficking, hours, and everything else, the tenant will explain all those, but in terms of how we leveled it with the community and how we leveled it with the neighborhood, is that in fact, we are a less intense use per se. And as such, therefore, there would be no endangerment to the public or any change, in fact, from what it used to be. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce to the board the tenant, 3E, Mr. Ralph Armstrong, who can explain a little bit about the business and why he wants to go here and why we think we should be entitled to special use. Thank you very much. Mr. Armstrong, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. As Mr. Pashnik said, my name is Ralph Armstrong, and I am the location manager for 3E here in Davenport, Iowa. 3E is a 100-year-old family Iowa company. We were purchased about 3 years ago by another nearly 100-year-old family company. So we're family-owned and operated. We've been here in Davenport since the mid-90s. We're currently located downtown on 5th Street, and we've outgrown our location. We're currently having to work out of 3 different buildings in order to operate, and we want to get into one location. But it's important to us to stay in Davenport and to stay in our community where we've been for quite a long time. Our business is, although we're zoned heavy retail, we're actually not a very intense business for a neighborhood. And the reason is the majority of our customers take advantage of our delivery service. So we've tracked it, and on average we have about 5 deliveries a day. What we would call usually less than truckload is what it's called, deliveries. 2 of those generally are UPS and FedEx, which are already going to the building daily. And I wouldn't be surprised if the other 3 are carriers that are probably already going there to service the business. We average between 20 and 25 customers per day at our retail sales counter. The majority of our customers prefer for us to deliver to their home or business or job site. So I actually believe that we are a much less intense use than a traditional retail store would be if they occupied the same. So, you know, a retail clothing store or a food store, something like that. So much less intense than the original building of K's Merchandise. The reason that we need the outdoor storage is because one of the aspects of our business is we sell Kohler generators for homes and businesses. But we also maintain a fleet of rental generators primarily to service our customers when their units go down. For example, if you're in an assisted living home or you operate a dormitory, a lot of those facilities, their emergency lighting and their emergency fire and fire pumps are powered by a generator. So if we're servicing their generator, by law, we have to have a rental there just in case they were to lose power while we were there. So we don't do repairs at our location. Our repairs are done at the customer's site. So we just need a place to put the generators to keep them safe, but they do have diesel fuel in them, so they cannot be inside the building. To answer a question that I think was being asked, our units are mobile, so they're on wheels, so they're not fueled on site. They're fueled at the gas station, just like you would fuel up a vehicle. So we don't store fuel there or anything like that. We do not do any sidewalk sales, outdoor sales. Our retail sales area is inside the building. So for the neighborhood, they don't have to worry about that. Our hours are Monday through Friday, and we close at 4 o'clock. So we'll probably be out of there before most people are home from work. Are there any questions I can answer for you guys about the business or?
So if a generator is no longer, let's say you go to fix someone's generator and it's no longer, you know, they need a new one. Is the old generator brought back to your site, or is it taken directly to somewhere where it's recycled?
Neither, actually. So we don't take any responsibility for that. That piece of equipment belongs to the customer, and they have to make that decision. And it's funny because we have to have this conversation just about every time. If the generator belongs to you, you'd have to decide, because there is some recycle value. And actually, believe it or not, there is some value. There are people that will take a generator that's not operating, that maybe isn't good enough anymore for a nursing home, or something that's super important. They might put it on a lake cabin, or if it doesn't run, it doesn't run, but you know, it does. So, but no, we don't take any of that things back. That's not ours.
Any other questions from the board?
None for me.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this request? Okay, no. Does anyone in the audience want to speak opposed to the request? Okay. Applicant, do you have any final comments?
None, ma'am, other than the fact that I think a lot of this has been vetted during the rezoning of the C3 process, so we're really focusing solely on the special use. And I think staff's recommendation should go a long way in allowing us to maintain and get the approval of the special use. Thank you for your time.
Any board discussion?
I did have a question, perhaps for Scott. I'm trying to quickly look at the conditions or recommendation for conditions. So with the fence put in, is there a maintenance requirement, you know, to be maintained to a certain condition?
Right, it shall be maintained. It is required to be maintained throughout the ownership of the property. Now, it doesn't say what levels of maintenance, but if you can see through it, we would go out there and request them that you know, it be made so that it's an effective screen.
All right, thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve request SU 21-04 of Tom Pasternak on behalf of Belser Ventures. Subject to the 4 conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve SU 21-04 with the 4 conditions recommended by staff.
I'll second.
Voice vote? Or-
I'll do a roll call. Boyd Carlson,
Yes.
Darland,
Yes.
and Laybeck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
With no other business, with no other business, I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
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 Adjourned.